And that's kind of the concept of a collective, I suppose, is it? It's kind of like there's a pool of resources that everybody contributes, and anyone can sort of dip in and for whatever their need is, because everybody's needs are different, which is the amazing thing of it. And it's just so it's I know it's I'm not saying it's simple. The idea is simple, like as in like it on
Yeah,
paper.
it
Yeah.
happened by accident. Like, there's literally, it wasn't like, I can remember being like, oh, I wish there was more of a platform for like R&B, neo soul. And I was like, the London scene is banging, the American scene is banging. And I was like, where is it in Ireland? And I was like, I know there's like a few pockets. I was like, there's a few collectives already. And I was like, but I was like, for women, A, for music genres that I care about, B, I was like, where is that platform?
Mm,
So there was obviously loads of other people, and it was just a total coincidence that it was a load of girls as
mm,
well. Like, we were looking for like loads of different artists, and we were like, oh my goodness, look, all these female musicians are absolutely amazing. Like, why is there not a bigger platform for all these guys? And then it was just a conversation, and we all thought the exact same thing. So it was easy to kind of galvanize that like sense of camaraderie, and that like everyone wants to do
mm.
well. That's the thing. We're all independent musicians, actively releasing, actively chasing whatever that end goal is. Like, we're all in it for different reasons. But yeah, that's why it's easy. It's because it's like-minded people going in the same direction.
And ZAPHO is the musical creator and curator of these collaborations. So exciting stuff. And here we are with Elle. How are you keeping, Elle? Thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Hey, thanks, Mel, for having me. Yeah, thank you for the lovely
Thanks very
introduction.
much. I was tripping over my words a little bit there, but it was just too much. It was just too much to take. No, I'm only messing. I mean, it's just really nice to see that, and I genuinely mean it. That there's musicians out there that see that there's other ways of sort of making it work, right, instead of the conventional way. So that piqued my interest instantly when I started researching you. And there's loads of questions I'd love to ask you with regard to that. I know there's projects that you're focusing on that we'll bring you back onto the show to speak about. I know you've loads of plans in the future, so I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of stuff. But just a little bit of, I just wanted to say, like, you know, I saw you guys in at the Shin A live stream, so that was the first time I saw that, and I was actually doing the kind of video transfer onto the live, sort of producing behind the scene thing, and I was amazed, I was astounded. I think the music genre, first of all, is definitely down my street. It's very intricate and funky, groovy, and very very well made. And Keith was doing the sound that night, so he recommended you guys. So I straight off the bat, I'm like, wow, this is amazing stuff. How did you get into playing that kind of genre?
Like, I started off as a singer-songwriter. Like, I went to a college called BIM, and everyone was a singer-songwriter, piano, guitar, vocals. And then I was like, nobody's listening to me. I was like, I have to compete with so many other people here. So I guess I just, in college, I found loads of different genres of music that I'd never heard before or never invested myself into. And then I started hanging out with a few different producers that kind of introduced me to the world of like Thundercat or like Disclosure, and like, I know they're kind of opposite genres, but I think with the whole Zappo thing, I found it really tricky to like confine it to like one-ish kind of genre. Like, I tend to deviate. Like, with the album that's coming out, there's a few different kind of genres like kind of blended within the one to come up with this like pop, funk, soul, slightly like indie rock kind of album. I don't know. It's a big it's a big monster of an album, so I'll figure that out.
Is it like I like that, you know, you don't confine yourself to genre. Is it sort of a natural thing for you, or is it well calculated, or is it like finding the variation in the songs that you're creating, or is it a natural flow, or is there a balance? How does that work for you?
It really depends. Like, for when I'm writing for others, it's calculated. Obviously, it's like formulaic. Like, they give you the ingredients of what they want what they want to write about. So, like with Toshin or whatever, she told me kind of more or less what she wanted, and then the story is in the music. So, like, for me, I just have to listen to the music, and then the story kind of appears or whatever lyrically. But I would say with the whole Zapho stuff, it's because I resonate with so many different types of music that it's nearly at the start I was like, okay, I want to have something that's for this type of genre, or that might appeal to this playlist or that playlist, because I actively like lots of genres of music. But I was like, okay, I need to try and make this a little bit more cohesive. So, like, at the forefront of the Zapho tunes, they're like pop in structure, but then some of them I throw pop on its head, and I try something completely different. And that's based on feel. That's kind of like instinct, I guess, or it's what sounds good, what feels good to me. I kind of go with that, I
How did you
guess.
get into music? Was it an instant love, or was there a moment that you remember that sort of got you into it?
I was a really late bloomer, I'm going to say, musically. Like, I always wanted to do acting as a kid, and I kind of even was late to that train as well. Like, I'd say I was around like 16 or 17 when I picked up a piano, found a piano, or not piano, a keyboard in my attic upstairs, and I just kind of figured it out and how to play it, and then eventually got my hands on a guitar, then eventually a bass and whatever, and then I figured I could sing. I couldn't sing that well. I couldn't sing the way I wanted, but I realized I could try and like manipulate my voice or whatever. Then I got some vocal lessons, went to college in music, and I just figured out the system. I figured out what music was, and it's always resonated with me since like childhood. I think the first time musically that I was moved by music would have been, it was the soundtrack for Braveheart. I know it's so random, but I can remember watching Braveheart as a kid and not understanding what was going on, but then hearing that music and I was like, "Ooh, this makes you kind of feel something." And then years later, I watched the movie again and I could literally hum the entire soundtrack.
Wow.
Of like one section, not the entire soundtrack, but a good section of the song that I knew, that I could just remember from childhood. And I was like, "Oh, okay, music kind of serves a new purpose, and you can be on the screen without being on the screen, if that makes sense." And it made more sense for me to go down the music route.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting because seeing your live performance, and it's sorry to say it live because it's not face to face, so you're not feeling everything as one would being right in front of you on stage in a venue. But seeing it through the screen even, and just seeing how you're reacting to the changes within the song even, and it is taking you somewhere. And I was watching it today, I think, checking your page, you had a 30-second clip, and I'm sorry I don't know the name of the song. I don't think the name of the song.
They'll Fight Me. Yeah, Fight Me or Canis Lupus. I don't know.
Right, and it's just, I'm getting chills talking about it because that moment where it sort of moves in, it's just such a groovy, like my face is just going, oh my God, it's just so groovy. And you can see yourself just like in the zone with it. And you're just like, I'd love to know what's going on in your head, being the front, woman of with this amazing groove behind you. It must be amazing. How was that live stream experience for you? And I know it's not the same as a gig, but
it was amazing. Yeah. It literally, like, we haven't played in so long. I didn't have a reason to get together with the band. Like, obviously it was too unsafe at the time. So just even getting to meet up with my pals again, getting into a rehearsal room, going through the songs, and I was like, "Oh, guys, we haven't done this in a year, and you've all got it." Like, everyone was amazing, and we had a new player as well who came along on board, Lewis, and that was his first time on like 2 hours sleep because he was at the session the night before, so pretty much came straight over and like smashed it. He's the guy on sax and keys.
Oh, brilliant! He's great. Yeah, he was really good.
But yeah, the gig itself, it was really, really nice to kind of put something out there, and because it's tricky and it's stagnant, like being at home all the time and not being able to get that kind of artistic energy out there, which is like, obviously you write music to play to people, so right now it's an entire virtual experience, so it's like adapt or die, but it's great to get those opportunities.
Are you seeing yourself, like, there's kind of a catch-22 going on, like some of us have a bit more time on our hands, but we're also getting less inspiration perhaps. Has writing been, have you, I guess what I'm trying to ask, has writing been different perhaps for you now? And how has it been different? Has it been ups and downs and all arounds, or has it been?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this year I decided to focus all of my energy and effort into the X Collective. So it's kind of like I had to switch off my creative brain, my like artistic creative brain, and put on my business brain and understand an entire new part of the industry that I'd never invested myself into before. But in terms of writing, like I've done like not a huge amount. You see, I have my album, which I've been kind of ticking away at for years, so I don't really consider that, like, that's mostly done, and I'm just doing production and stuff on that at the moment. But yeah, I'm not in the humor. It's not that's the thing. It's like that you don't have things to do, or you're not kind of pulling from any experiences. I'm not in the humor a lot of time to do a lot of writing. It's just because I have my focuses elsewhere. But now I'm kind of getting back into that, and I need to get back into my groove, and I don't know what that is. If it's just establishing like a new space, or getting like a new piece of gear, or just pick up the backside to just get it started again.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I guess that's the thing with having like sort of a multifaceted sort of set of skills and interests. So obviously being involved with the collective, which I will ask you about in a second, and then which is the business aspect and understanding sort of how things work within the music industry and a lot more, of course. And then there's obviously the creative side of things, and then there's your own personal music and everything else in between that. So it seems to me, and it's from myself, I'm kind of like a multi-project manager kind of dude as well. That's a terrible way to describe it. That's such a simple way to describe it. But you know, and some weeks I can juggle maybe two projects at the same time, and some weeks I can only do one. I always need to have one, though. I can't seem to take a break. Are you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like that?
for
Do you
sure.
always need to have something going on?
Yeah, well, I pretty much always do. It's literally COVID because like whatever plans, you know yourself, you make a plan to do something, then COVID is like, oh lol, we're gonna go into another 6 week lockdown, and you're like, right, I'm gonna make new plans, and it keeps
Mm,
changing. So I think I'm kind of fed up with that process of just constantly having to change my plans, and I have a lot to
mm,
do, but it's just I need to be in a studio, I need to see other people, we need to make videos, and it's like too difficult to actually orchestrate that. And like obviously it's for the greater good and everything at the moment, so I'm not going to complain too much
mm.
about that. But yeah, like that you can do a limited amount of things from home, like record remotely and stuff. But it is great to be busy. I think it's good to keep the brain stimulated. But don't get me wrong, like there are definitely times where I was like, I have nothing to do, or I have loads of things to do, but I don't want to do it. It's just because it's like it's all work and no play, and then you get a bit sick of your own company. Do
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? It's like work, 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 then music, then personal life, and it's all through a phone, which it's driving me crazy. Like just being on a phone twenty four
yeah,
seven. And I love my phone, but now I hate
yeah.
my phone because it's like laptop to phone. You wake up and it's the same process. But sorry, I literally sound like such a
No, no.
moan.
Well, I mean, a lot of people feel what you're saying, El. You're definitely not a moan. I mean, I've probably pretty much sounded the same when speaking to people online. So we all resonate with you there. And I wonder now, yeah, if this lockdown will sort of teach us a little bit, you know, how maybe we'll appreciate, and I'm sure we will, you know, the outdoors and the friendships and community more, and less of the phone device, and see it more as the tool that it is. But you know, to move away a little bit from the I suppose the serotonin shots that we get, you know, from our social medias, and you know, I'm definitely a victim of that, you know, trying to get and trying to stop, you know, scrolling through my Instagram, and it is work, you know, all my social medias are work
Yeah,
related.
it's work, but then you know those late nights when you're like, okay, I was working notes today, and then you're like scrolling on your Instagram, and then you're watching like endless like dog videos or like funny videos, and then you're like, this doesn't work, and it's such a waste of time and
Yeah,
energy. And I do that all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Like, you just get off
yeah.
YouTube, just turn that
I
off.
know, and we're missing the live part, you know. So it is all just that technological screen part now. So it's like overexposure, and yeah, no, I'm definitely getting sick of it myself. And get, you know, as much as I'm loving this, and I was saying to you before, you know, while Max Factor was playing there, you know, uh, yeah, I like the fact that we can meet people. You know, normally I wouldn't be arranging Zoom calls with people. It would be weird. It'd be like, why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? Let's just meet
Exactly.
physically.
Yeah.
But it's very impractical to do that. It takes up more time. Whereas here, it's like, you know, it's a 30-minute slot, and then you go off and just you're at home already. You just do whatever you were, just take up where you left it.
Exactly.
And you know, myself, it's just a short segment, so there's no travel and stuff. But I am kind of getting a little bit sick of it, because I want to chat to people physically. You know, we all do. It's a different situation. There's less lag. You can kind of look the person, and it sounds weird, like, but just look the person in the eyes, do you know what I mean, properly, and just like, not in a weird way, but just like, you know, get to know a person better. And there's a bit, yeah, just like, let me look at your eyes there. I'll be like that now, you know, after this long break. But no, and there's a different thing, you know. Same with live conversation, stand-up comedy. You just can't do stand-up comedy without a crowd. It just doesn't happen, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, never
Yeah,
even thought about
literally only a
that.
comedian told me about that, you know, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like, as I was chatting, I was like, oh yeah, you can't do stand-up comedy, yeah, fair enough. But a lot of things missing. So tell us a little bit about the X Collective, because this is exciting stuff. I really like ideas like this. I find them innovative. I find them necessary. And but tell us a little bit about it there.
So, I guess I'm with the timeline. Maybe it was over a year ago, a year and a half ago. I met a promoter called Emily Shaw, and she runs an event company called EHA Events. And basically, she was into a lot of the genres that I was kind of, or into that kind of scene.
Hmm.
First of all, with she was working with all the other artists on the scene, and then I was kind of on the other side of it as well. So I was like, you know these guys, we know these guys. Why don't we join forces? And then I guess the idea was that she had a lot of the business kind of side of it, whereas I had the artist side of the songwriting side. So it was like, okay, what if we just extend the group like much bigger? And then we originally were like maybe 4 or 5 artists. It was supposed to be like a really small
Hmm.
pool of people. But then, like you said there, the Zoom calls started happening left, right, and center. And then I think we just managed to have like a photo shoot and organize enough things. Like we were planning it for months in advance, but we just managed to get that kind of secured before the very first lockdown. So it was kind of like it was a great time for us to actually launch, because everyone had nothing to do, and it was like this like virtual experience that we were like, oh goodness, we have loads of content ready, so this could actually be a good opportunity for us. Although like it took out like half of our plan to like gig and do tours and do stuff like that, but you kind of have to adapt to the situation in hand, and we did, but like it has been difficult for us like the last while, I guess, trying to orchestrate all of these meetups and all of these events when like, you know, you can't even go 5 kilometers outside your house at the moment. So we're trying to figure that out virtually for the moment. But yeah, so I think there's now nearly 90 to 100 people maybe in total since
I
the
have to
last
update my
last
notes here.
update. Yeah, oh no, that would have been for probably the first one, but yeah, it's increasing, and we'll be announcing a bunch of new artists like in the next while as well. And we have a few different plans up our sleeve, but it's again, it's not contact, COVID related and stuff. So we have to wait until we get out of lockdown to do all that stuff. But we're very eager and we're very excited, and it's just a community of artists, creatives, directors, behind the scenes, the business side, the art side, the graphic side. Like it's anything and everything that an independent artist could need, and it happens to be all people that we either know or it's a friend of a friend. We talk to one person and they say, oh, have you met this person in this category that I don't know anything about, like advertising or like media or bits and bobs, and then somebody else that's like their bread and butter and they do that every day, and then you're like, oh, this is so interesting, it's a new world that I didn't even know existed that is so relevant to my music career. So then it's about getting that information and then just passing it on to the other artists, or, you know, trying to get opportunities using that, or seizing our opportunities, I guess, or putting it out there.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And are you able to get into like grants and stuff like that? Are you able to get some extra support for something like this? Is that a possibility at least?
Yeah, like that's where my brain has been this last year, the amount of grant applications that I've done, and Emily as well. And like we've gotten a couple of opportunities, but not a huge amount. Like we've applied for over probably 10, but like obviously it's really difficult. Over 10 or 12, and they're like really large applications, like European, Dublin, or Arts Council grants and everything. So we got the first Music Contact songwriting camp. So that's where we're going to be recording a bunch of stuff with loads of new artists. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully once the lockdown ends.
Yeah. No, that's great. You've got one. When you get one grant, you know, then it's, you know, hopefully it'll kind of, you have that as a record. I wonder if it's like that actually, because I haven't gone through that process yet, but I would assume so, that once you get eligible for one, it means, you know, you have a greater chance to sort of get the next ones because your name is already there, really, you know,
It can or it can't, like, because then because it's all public record as to whoever gets grants, but like just from my experience, like there's Art Council grants and there's European grants and there's like the FMC one. It depends, like if your name is down, then you may not be eligible to get other ones because they're trying to like, you know, spread out the money equally as well. So yes, it's potentially true for some grants, but yeah, it would be great if there's more, and I assume there's going to be more, like with this year's new budget and like with the 2021 plan and stuff. So like the government, I thought they were great last year. I got a couple of grants for ZAPHO projects as well, so like that kept me alive and kept me afloat for the entire year, which I'm super grateful for.
What's kind of the thing that musicians seek the most in your collective? Like what's kind of a common thing that's perhaps the most necessity out of musicians, or is it all very varied?
It is very varied because you have people on different ends of the spectrum. Like you have people that are literally only in music about a year and they're just figuring out the ropes, and you have people that are well on their way that are doing this as long as me or anybody else in the collective. But the point is that we're actually learning a lot of things together. Like there's still so much that I don't know, that I'm like, oh my goodness, I had no idea how relevant all this stuff is. But I'd say what we get back is like people coming being like, oh, I'm in this situation, or I had a problem with this, what do I do about this? And then we have people that work for like labels or just in management that can give that kind of advice, that, you know, it's not just like you're not in this by yourself, because like I had management since I was 21. So like I've had somebody to like guide me along the way, and I've had a lot of help, and like I took all of that information. And then the same with anybody else who works in the collective, you just take what you know and you just put it in the pot, and it's there as a resource for a young Irish musician that comes across any situation, more or less. If it's distribution, if it's like artwork, how do I make a video? How do I do this? How do I do that? It's like, if somebody knows, we'll find out and we'll get it back to you without it costing money, without it being like a favor. It's there as a resource, and we all borrow and share from each other.
That's brilliant. And that's kind of the concept of a collective, I suppose, is it? It's kind of like there's a pool of resources that everybody contributes, and anyone can sort of dip in and for whatever their need is, because everybody's needs are different, which is the amazing thing of it. And it's just so I know I'm not saying it's simple. The idea is simple, like as in like it on paper.
Yeah, it happened by accident. Like, there's literally, it wasn't like, I can remember being like, oh, I wish there was more of a platform for like R&B, neo soul, and I was like, the London scene is banging, the American scene is banging, and I was like, where is it in Ireland? And I was like, I know there's like a few pockets. I was like, there's a few collectives already, and I was like, but I was like, for women, A, for music genres that I care about, B, I was like, where's that platform? So there was obviously loads of other people, and it was just a total coincidence that it was a load of girls as well. Like, we were looking for like loads of different artists, and we were like, oh my goodness, look, all these female musicians are absolutely amazing. Like, why is there not a bigger platform for all these guys? And then it was just a conversation, and we all thought the exact same thing. So it was easy to kind of galvanize that like sense of camaraderie, and that like everyone wants to do well. That's the thing. We're all independent musicians, actively releasing, actively chasing whatever that end goal is. Like, we're all in it for different reasons. But yeah, that's why it's easy. It's because it's like-minded people going in the same direction.
Feels like it kind of came like, yeah, it kind of came naturally together because there was a necessity for it. You know, there's definitely a lack of support in certain areas. Well, generally, but as well in music, you know, and it's always great to have that support system. What's and you might say there isn't any, or you mightn't want to chat about it, but what do you see as like a big issue in the music industry? I can name a couple, but like, is there one that has come up from maybe not personal yourself, like, but and it doesn't have to be like an issue, you know, we don't have to make it all serious or anything, but something that's like, oh, you know, this would be good if it existed, or it would be better if, you know, we're not complaining here or trying to, well, we can go whatever direction you want, but you know.
I'm sure I have loads of complaints because I say I hate music every second week. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure you kind of maybe kept track on the gender disparity report with Linda Keegan-Byrne and the Why Not Her campaign.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, I didn't realize the extent of how bad that was. Like, I always was just like, oh, it's a really competitive market. Like, you have to be this, or you have to be that, or you have to whatever to fit in. But then when you actually see the results of what they're playing, you're just like, no, you're like, this is more than just luck and like good music. It's like, this is something else entirely. And it was shocking to me to read the report, and like, they're still going hard and they're figuring out all these plans to like fix it and how do we make it better and stuff. So like, for me, it's like you make it better by showing up and being yourself and being an amazing musician, regardless of being male or female. But you know, there is the fact that, like, you know, there is a massive amount of male producers / writers being paid in comparison to ladies, or in the top 20 or in the charts in general. So like, I always thought that was just me, and I did find it quite difficult to get into radio. But then, like, you're told like it's a genre thing, like I don't know, it's hard to put it out if it's not like super mainstream. I find, like, if it's not like right in the center of bubblegum pop, it's like, if you're in the metal scene, you may as well move abroad because it's never going to get seen here. But like, there are some genres I think that get absolutely overlooked in Ireland. And like, I'm trying to understand the industry. I'm like, is it like just that people that listen to the radio love more pop? And I'm like, no, it has to be different, because in other countries, like there's just a larger variety of music available. Like, I don't really ever listen to the radio on purpose, like myself, like to listen to music that I want to, like if it's on and whatever, grant. But I would love to see a little bit of a change within radio, or I don't know, I'm just like, more opportunities would be great within Ireland, because I do find it kind of insular in terms of, I don't know what they publicize. And like, right now Dublin and Ireland is bubbling with like a hip hop genre, with R&B, neo soul, and like, I would love to just see more of that out there. Like, I'm not going to complain too much. Like, I'm really grateful for the opportunities that I'm getting and like the position I'm in right now. So, you know, things can always be improved. But
it was a bit of a surprise for me, you know, when I heard that, and I didn't think, because I don't listen to the radio myself now. I'm working now part-time for Phoenix FM community radio. So sorry, Phoenix FM, for saying that. But it's just true. I'm like yourself, if it's on in the background, and I like the ethos of community radio. Here I am, okay, trying to explain myself. No, but my point is that like I wasn't aware of that, and I didn't think that we're in the bleeding 21st century here. Like, what the hell's going on? We've got some amazing musical institutions, bringing out some fantastic musicians, all genders, all race, all. Why should there, like, what is going on? Like, where is the what are the gatekeepers, thinking? Like, what is it? And it maybe it is like a pigeonhole kind of situation where they're expecting a certain type of genre from a certain, gender or race, even possibly, and say, if you're not producing that because you look like that or you are that, then it doesn't fit within our box of parameters of what it is. And I didn't think that actually existed anymore. I thought we were all past that feckin' bullshit. But I guess not. And I wonder, is it just in Ireland now? And you're saying that in around the world it's not as bad as here. Do you think maybe it's more backwards here? Is it we're a bit slower to kind of catch on to things? Is it an evolutionary / progression sort of? Because we're a small country, and there's still a lot of culture that needs to evolve a little bit. You know what I mean?
I guess there was a thought that I had on the whole situation. I was like, when did this all begin? I was like, why is there not more women out there? Or I was like, first of all, why are there not more female producers? Why are there not more female drummers or bass players or whatever? It's like they're so select. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, when I looked up at the telly and I saw people like shredding it out in the guitar, I didn't see a woman. I saw like a big bearded like rocker dude. And you don't necessarily resonate with that when you're a young girl. But then, like, if you see somebody else, like, I don't know, maybe that's just the channels of music that I was exposed to, but you just don't see a lot of those type of people that you can aspire to be like. So I didn't know I could be a producer. I didn't really know. Like, I thought I was the singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar girl for years, because I didn't realize I could do more than that, or I didn't have any inspiration to kind of follow up on. But then eventually I started meeting all these guys, and they were amazing producers, and I sat behind them and I learned so much. And then I kind of figured out my own kind of way for it. But I don't know if it's like early low-level education that you see people, because like in order to resonate with somebody, like sometimes they need to look like you, or they need to share your ideas, or they need to sound like you, or like, I don't know if it begins in early level education where we just, I don't know, we're not as selective about what we push boys towards to, or what we push girls towards to, or
But
I don't know.
BIM definitely broadened your horizons, and or did it? Like, what's kind of what could you say that, I suppose, maybe inspire people to do BIM, to do the college? What was your big takeaway? Maybe tell us a little bit about it, even on a general term. Maybe in relation to sort of, that gender disparity, and how gender is not sort of, it's not a question in BIM, right? It's everybody's equal opportunities.
It's not, but in the same breath though, like I think in my class at one stage I was the only girl in my class for like a year, I'm gonna say, and there was like 12 of the lads. So in that sense, I was like, I had to compete. I was like I have my tunes, I'm gonna play just like the lads are, because it's, I don't know what it was, but yeah, within BIM itself, I found it like really, really interesting, because I'd gone in like with a passion for music, and I could write these very simple songs that were like, innocent kid tunes. And then you go in and then you realize that you may have been the best in your secondary school at music or at songwriting or whatever at the time, but then you go into BIM and you're like, oh my God, everyone is the best here. It's like, it's the best person from every school that's all put into the one place. So there is this like competitive nature. But for me, I took that as a like, you guys are so good, I want to be like you. They set the bar. So it made me be better, being surrounded by so many amazing musicians. But I did notice, like, for example, I think I only know 2-3 female drummers out of all of BIM. I only know maybe 2 bass players, like, out of all the years in BIM. Well, obviously I don't know everybody, but from when I was there, like, there wasn't like a huge amount, and the majority of girls kind of went for vocals, or they would go for like songwriting. Or, well, not really in my class, but within BIM itself, like, it's a great place because you get to nurture the live element, and you get to nurture the business element, the creative element. And like when you go in, like, I was so green, and I was like, in 2 years I want to be an established songwriter. That's it. I didn't even know what the word established meant, like, by how stupid I was when you go in and you're like, you can take over the world with your music and whatever, and then you go in and you just get like some humble pie, and you're like, wow, everyone is so good here, and then it just makes you want to be
That's
better.
amazing. And I guess that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about being surrounded by like-minded people, um, for the betterment of each individual, like, for betterment of yourself. So you get inspired by your peers, and that's so important. I did a diploma stint in BIM for drumming, and there wasn't a single girl in my class. Absolutely no.
Hmm.
And it's
I just wonder
it's
why. Like,
yeah,
that's just
yeah.
my big question. Where are
You're
all the
right. You're
gals?
totally right. And I only know a few bands with female drummers. ZAPHO, of course, being your band being one, right? And well, there's a few more, definitely a few more than 10 years ago, than 5 years ago.
Oh,
It's a
definitely for
slow
sure.
progression, but yeah, no, it's interesting. People can assume, and I'll admit, I assume that, oh, maybe girls don't like drumming. Maybe it's, that's what people assume straight away. You just assume, oh, if it's not there. But not being a female myself, I don't understand what the perception is like. When, of course, yeah, when you're saying all you see is male drummers, or as you were saying, all you see is a male, with a big beard and hunkering down his knees and shredding or whatever. That's obviously not attractive. You can't look up to that and go, as a female, and go, I want to be like that, because nobody wants a bleeding beard.
No, or else the alternative is Joni Mitchell and an acoustic guitar, which everybody
Yeah.
tries or something, and then you're just like, I'm a little more rock than this, or I'm a little bit more,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. It's psychological, right? And it does go down to, as well, like there's psychology involved. Plus, there's like what is being chosen. Like we don't, like, who chooses to play music full stop on the radios, overall, and who makes these decisions on,
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
gender aside, obviously that's one thing, one big thing, and then obviously just in general, what's being decided, what's decided to be, a film, even in film, what is decided to be considered, a normal Hollywood movie, what people watch now, whereas the avant-garde and the sort of obscure and the atmospheric movies, they're not really promoted, they're not really shown, they're not really given a chance. So there's definitely an issue with regards to, and what else could we talk about? Could we talk about painting? I don't know. I wouldn't I don't know too much about that industry, but it feels like, there's massive barriers to entry across the whole scope. Like, even setting up your own business, or we're never taught this in school. We're never taught about these things,
Mm.
how to be a individual, how to be, like, we're all quite, and I was speaking to Martin Eastwood last week, and he's an entrepreneur, and he spoke about, how the education system from early age, how we're taught to sort of follow, how we're taught to fall in line, to be, and I wonder if it's changed. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't seen the education system in many years, clearly. No, but like, it's there's definitely underlying issues, with regard to how we're being brought up and what we're being told to believe, I think. What do you think about that? Is that being a bit too general, I wonder, and perhaps even conspiratorial, or, I don't know.
Um, School, like, for me, I don't know. Like, I don't really, yeah, never really cared a huge amount about school. I do feel like my creative side was not nurtured whatsoever growing up, because I was pushed generally in the direction of, like, okay, like, I don't know, home ec and, like, whatever, I don't know, businessy
Mm,
subjects. Or I didn't do music in school because I was told I couldn't sing, or, I couldn't at the time, I was so young, but I didn't ever explore that creative side until it kind of came out of me. And then I just, like, forced myself to go to these, like, drama classes when I was 17, because I was like, oh, I really want to actually explore this. And I did, like, a little bit within kind of
mm,
school itself. But I mean, I resent a lot about school because you can't express who you are. And it took me a long time to figure that out. But maybe that's what everybody, you kind of figure out who you are,
mm.
obviously, in adulthood. But um, yeah, Catholic girls' school. um, yeah, I don't really have a huge amount to say
Mm,
about it. Like, I'm just kind of glad school is, like, I learned a lot there. Great, moving
yeah.
on. Like, the system in which, like, it fails so many people, and, like, I have friends that wouldn't necessarily be the most academic that would suffer because of
Mm,
the system. It's like a big learning competition. Go and learn all your subjects and then just
yeah.
recite it there. And it, like, that doesn't challenge people. Like, it doesn't, like, for me, being a creative at that time, doing my Leaving Cert had nothing to do with my career and what I'm currently doing now. My Leaving Cert literally had nothing to do other than allowing me the points to get into the college
Mm,
that I was going to, which obviously turned out being academic
yeah.
and everything. But um Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
tricky
no,
to
sorry, yeah, that
question.
I guess it's definitely a deep topic as well, because it kind of goes back to sort of obviously individual perceptions as well, and our own personal experiences. So it's quite long. But okay, so moving back to we'll move away from that one. Maybe I spent too long on that one myself. So your upcoming album, can we speak a little bit about that, or do you have a general date, or tell us a little bit about what's coming on? And
Um, I can't pick a date because I refuse to plan anything until I have masters in
okay.
my hand, and I still have a good bit to go. Like I'm only halfway there with the album at the moment, and I have like several collaborations now within that album that I'm going to be focusing on. And again, it's a matter of like getting to these people and like finishing the sessions or going to a
Hmm.
studio and stuff. So it'll be a 10-track album of which I've yet to decide the name. I've yet to decide a few things, but I think what in total there will be 4
Brilliant.
collaborations with different
Mm.
sets of artists. So and then that's in addition to like some of my songs that I've had. Like I've been gigging this album for like I'm gonna say 4 years. Like the tunes that I'm currently releasing, they're old songs to me, but they're brand new in the sense that they haven't
Mm.
been released to the public yet, and they are much more me than the collaborations I've done. I work with a lot of different people, and I love exploring different genres, but I think this one is truly like the ZAPHO
Awesome.
sound. It's like it's a bit of everything. It's a
Awesome.
mixed
I
bag.
can't wait. It's nice to hear as well that you're collaborating as well with a few musicians. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I guess I've heard a few of your songs already that will be released. Um, have there been any changes in the studio, or have you, like, when you come in, you have your pre-production, and yeah, and obviously you've been playing the songs for a couple of years now, you say. Have they changed in any way when you sort of went down into the pre-production part, I suppose?
Yeah, like literally for years, the songs have been changing like kind of year to year. Like I can remember gigging one song and I was like, it was in Whelan's, and I remember being like, this song is going on so long, and I was like, oh, you're losing the audience, you're
Mm,
losing attention. So then the next time, I can remember my sister, who's like a spin minute 38, like listens to just
right,
that's all she listens to, and she's like, I really like that song electrically, and it's a tune
right.
called Logically. But she was like, I love that one. She was like, but it just went on forever. And I was like, I took that as like, you're potentially somebody that would be in my audience. So I listen to like the layperson, I listen to somebody who knows music, and I try and get like fully rounded, like, okay, I'm losing attention here. So sometimes that dictates like the edit
Mm,
in the song. Okay, now maybe I need to take out 30 seconds here, or like, or yeah, it depends. Sometimes when I'm gigging the songs, I get a little bit bored, and if I change the melody, but like the songs are all kind of demoed to like a really high standard in terms of like the electronic production. But right now, what the songs all need is like some live
mm,
instrumentation just to beef it up, and then I'll do a combination of both live instrumentation, electronic, and then we'll just find that like sweet spot in the middle. Because I realize that my live set is much heftier, it's much heavier, and people kind of can resonate with that. So I was like, okay, we need to figure out a way to incorporate live into the electronic. Like the electronic is still the same song and
mm.
structure and everything, but it's just missing that kind of sonic kind of kick up
Brilliant.
live
I
wise.
can't wait. I can't wait. And I'll keep an eye on your page. And that's where people can find you. Of course, your Facebook page is probably the best. Facebook and Instagram. Is it ZAPHO Music, or
Yeah. So ZAPHO Music on
ZAPHO
Facebook,
Music?
Instagram.
Amazing. Listen, thanks so much for coming on to the show. And thanks so much for trusting me. I know we haven't met before. It was just an email exchange that we had. I wanted you to do what was it, the New Year's gig, wasn't it? And hopefully we can arrange something down the line with a kind of studio situation. I'd love to have you on. It would be an absolute delight. So that's definitely down the line, and maybe you could go in lieu with your album promotion. We'll definitely see how time everything folds out, I suppose. And thank you so much. I guess I'll close off with a question. Go figure, I've asked you enough questions, but this is a short one, and I asked this to Amy Ellen as well just before she came on, and or before you came on, and just wanted to know your take. What's the first thing you'd love to do after lockdown? And you can only pick one: perform a gig, see a gig, or go on a holiday. And be honest now. I know.
So
I
grilled.
literally came up with that this morning. I said I'll
Oh.
torture my guests.
Perform a gig, see a gig, or
Yeah.
go on a holiday. It depends who I'm seeing and who I'm going on the holiday with,
Well,
because like
let's say you're
that's
seeing like the
but
best, your favorite band, and then you're going on holiday with your favorite person.
okay, I'm gonna go on holiday. I need to get
That's
out of this country.
amazing.
I'm sorry. I love music and all. I said
I
that was
saw
actually
that.
painful for me
Yeah.
to decide. I was like, I love Vanessa. That's the band that I would go to. I'd be like, I'd be it, but I'm going to New York with my favorite person to see Vanessa.
Oh, okay.
That's what's
Okay,
going to happen.
brilliant.
That's my new plan. Thank you for giving me hope before. I'm sorry I cheated.
That's
but
absolutely
that's
fine. You can make it whatever way you want. And Amy chose she go on a holiday as well. So you're not the only one. You're the second person to pick that. And I think I'm going to ask people that every week because it's a lot of fun to get that, you know. And I guess it makes people think a little bit. So, listen, thanks so much. Is there anything you want to close off with, actually, before I let you go? Is there anything you want to advertise or anything? We have ZAPHO music and we have... we're going to be keeping an eye on your pages for your upcoming album. Is there anything else? People can rewatch the live stream, I suppose, that you did in Chennai.
Yeah, the live stream is actually up in Chennai. I think we actually had a few technical issues with the vocals. They were down quite low, so we're sorting something out at the moment where it's going to be re-uploaded, or else I'm going to re-upload it a song at a time just with improved vocals because they're quite low in the mix. But yeah, I'll be lashing that out. So if you guys want to check it out there and Spotify and like share, follow, etc.
Awesome.
It really helps.
Awesome. Listen, so nice to chat to you and get to know you, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you or collaborating with you in the future. So have a great weekend, and talk to you soon. See you later. Bye bye.
All right. Good luck.